Hello again and welcome to Letter from England, broadcasting for AC Press and the Spanish Evangelical Alliance. My name is Jonathan Dawson. This week we're paying tribute to Miguel Delibes, one of the greatest Spanish authors of the 20th century, who died last month after a long illness. He would have been 90 later this year, and over a long literary career won many awards for his writings. His illness worsened drastically in the final hours, and his family cancelled all activities to stay close to him. King Juan Carlos made a phone call to ask after the writer's health. He'd been diagnosed with cancer of the colon back in October 1998. One of the leading awards that Delibes won was the Cervantes, and his last book was the novel The Heretic, set in 16th century Valladolid, Delibes' home city, which tells the story of the persecution that Protestants suffered at the hands of the Inquisition. Just last year, the second and third volumes of his complete works were published. They cover 25 years of his literary career, from 1953 to 1978. But 2 years earlier, Delibes left this obituary in the first volume of his definitive complete works, as he took his pen to say goodbye to his readers. He said, "Even though I lived until the year 20... Miguel Delibes the writer died in Madrid on May the 21st, 1998, on the operating table of La Luz Hospital. This means the final years were, in a literary sense, useless to him." The writer confirmed in this sincere and stark text what his readers already feared, that The Heretic, a novel published in 1998, would be the final word in his literary production. Our news agency, Protestante Digital, wanted to award him the Unamuno Friend of Protestants Prize, both for The Heretic and for another novel, 5 Hours with Mario, but the writer, after thanking us, rejected it, the award that is, due to his delicate state of health. José de Segovia says, "Who would have imagined that one of the great books of Spanish culture would speak about the Protestant Reformation? That is a reason good enough for evangelicals to be thankful to the most important writer of his generation for writing about a not-so-well-known episode in history, the existence of a Protestant group in Valladolid in the 16th century. In addition to this, every scene in the novel 5 Hours with Mario, published in 1966, starts with a text of the Bible that the husband of the story had underlined. The wife said that she knew the secret of how her husband had come to know the Bible. He met with Protestants." It's not usual, says de Segovia, that a highly Catholic man like Delibes, he was an enthusiast, for example, of the somber Castilian Easter celebrations, mentions Protestantism so often, though he had some contact with them in his home city of Valladolid. Delibes himself was a humble man and avoided any form of ostentation. He studied commerce and law but didn't like them. He had an opportunity to start writing in 1941 and made the most of it. He started working on a local newspaper, El Norte de Castilla, first as a cartoonist, later as a writer. After 10 years he became sub-editor, but had to leave this position 5 years later because of Francoist pressure. But this didn't stop him continuing to condemn the abandonment of Castile and the rural environment, proof of which is his novel The Rats, published in 1962. It was his wife, Ángeles Castro, who most awakened Delibes' desire to write. That was the reason for his first novel, The Shadow of the Cypress is Extended, winner of the Nadal Award in 1947, and for the way in which he started to become well known as author of titles such as The Way, The Red Leaf, and the novel we've already mentioned, 5 Hours with Mario. Sadly, though, Ángeles died a few months before Delibes was appointed to the Royal Academy, and was never able to read the novel which portrayed her, woman in red against a grey background. The novelist said that Ángeles was the better half of myself, and his friends say that her death devastated him and led him to depression. But it was the love of literature that his wife had aroused in him that eventually saved him, and 3 years later he published the novel The Disputed Vote of Mr. Cayo. Miguel Delibes learned to write without his wife, the woman who had taken care of him and encouraged him to write throughout her life, even buying a studio for him to be able to write in silence. He received his greatest recognition when he'd already lost the main reason for his writing. Awarded the Príncipe de Asturias Prize in 1982, the Old Castile Arts Prize in 1984, the Spanish Arts Prize in 1991, and the aforementioned Cervantes Award in 1993. Delibes' last book, The Heretic, was dedicated to the memory of Protestants in his home city of Valladolid, where he was born on the 17th of October 1920, and where he died on the 12th of March 2010. Thank you for listening. We're broadcasting each week at emission.net. Goodbye.